Okay, so the first thing to keep in mind is working with what I kind of call like the rapper lens, or like the camera lens, like using a different lens. Rap in rap, people will sit there, especially people who aren't rappers or rap coaches, and sit there and say something like, "Well, you can rap about anything," and to a certain extent, that's true, but it's all about the lens you're using, or the context you're using. So, what I mean by that is, for example, you mentioned that a lot of your songs are about being lonely or loneliness. Now, now you could rap in a way like you could directly say, "Yo, I'm lonely. I have no homies." But that probably wouldn't be the best way because of the way that people contextualize loneliness in rap. Usually, rap, let's keep it real, like a lot of times you always want to come out looking cool or looking like, you know what I'm saying, you're still on top. So, Nas, for example, the way he would handle something like loneliness is make a song like Project Window. I don't know if you ever heard that song, but it's all about like looking through my project window, or like Papa Was a Player, or Purple, or Drinking by Myself. These are all songs by Nas where he's talking about loneliness, but it's in the case of Project Window, it's about him being a young kid in the projects, looking out at the streets and all that kind of stuff. Or Purple, about how he's smoking like purple herb, and it's like influencing the way he thinks, his mind state turns purple, and loneliness. Um, Eminem, you could argue that like Cleaning Out My Closet is a song about loneliness. You know what I mean? About like his drug addict mom and people are judging him and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Well, the rapper lens, and this is just like a phrase I've made up. Let's think. There are like multiple components to this, but let's just for like ease of use. Number one part of rapper lens is you're always cooler than the other guy or the other person. Even when you're in your lowest point, you're cool still. You know what I mean? Like the way I always say it is like part of the reason rap is awesome is because like the people, like the rappers are cooler than any other genre in a lot of ways. They get more girls, got more money, they're wittier, they're more they're just they came from the bottom and they're here. You know what I mean? So one component of the rapper lens is always putting yourself in a position to be the star of the show or the main subject. Eminem, at Rock Bottom, that song, even in those songs, or If I Had, like Eminem's depressed songs, he still sounds fucking cool. You know what I mean? Because he's still the interesting guy going through you're the star of the show. You're the protagonist always. You're always the protagonist. Like there's not too many rap songs where like the rapper is the antagonist. You know what I mean? And even then, they're like kind of like DMX, I guess. But even then, like you think he's cool. So does that? So that's one side of it. Is like if like always putting yourself in the middle of the story. The other kind of the rapper lens is like usually most of what you're going to be talking about is going to be to do with you involving other people and you making your way through like urban environments most of the time. Now that's not to say that there isn't such a thing as like a creative, like, open mind, but all the people you listed, if you think about it, they're always in urban environments, they're always the protagonist, and they're always interacting with different like geographic locations and emotions. Nas, Common, you know what I mean? So, and the reason I bring that up is like I said, rapper lens, you being the protagonist, you like putting yourself in different geographic locations lyrically is a way to rap about anything. Like getting your ass beat, you can get away with that in rap if you put it the way Eminem did in like Brain Damage, where he's like, I used to, I got that whole song is about him getting bullied or something like that, right? Um, or Nas, like he made a song about sitting looking out a project window. So one way for you to do that is to think, if you're like, what happened to me today? I went to Oakland. I was auditioning drummers. Well, like how could you put the rapper lens on that? Like even right now, why don't we just try it? What would you think lyrically you could how would you paint that picture in a rap? Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. And that's the way that you can be songwriting while you're living, you know what I mean, so to speak. Like me, when I sit down to write, I never like have to worry about ideas because I'm just going through life and I just remember like what today fuck with my head or what today was fucking dope, and then I'll just make the song. You know, like I said, finding that moment. Um, so those are like the rapper lens concept. Just making sure you're kind of the protagonist. You're moving the story. You're the star. You know. The other thing is geographic. Third thing I wrote. Um, I think right now the way you're writing lyrically, I was just gonna say you probably think you have to make more sense than you do. Because a lot of right now the way you're writing is like, okay, here's the song. Got to keep working. Got to keep working. I sit down to write. I want to make this album. I want to get better. Here's the outcome. You know, it makes sense. You know what I mean? But um, you don't need to make as much direct sense. Let me say it this way: the difference between a logical truth and an emotional truth. Um, Eminem, Kim, that song barely makes any real sense, right? Like, you know what I mean? He's talking about there's a little kid in the road with a slit throat. You and your husband have a fight. Somebody tries to grab a knife, and during the struggle, he gets an Adam's apple slice. And you're like, what is he talking about? You know what I mean? But it's like the realest shit ever, right? So, right. So, um, like one thing I'd say too is when you're writing, worry less about making so much sense as much as like putting me as a listener and yourself as a writer in the emotional place you want to go. So if the song is about you being angry, I'd much rather hear you um fuck this shit. I don't love this shit. Okay, lyrically that's really fucking simple. But that's 10 times better than this anger was really getting to me. Last time I threw, you know what I mean? I threw something against the wall. Man, life is getting hard. I'm getting angry. Like, no, it's much better to be like, allow your lyrics to be more conversational and fuck, I'm sick of this fucking shit. Suck a dick, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Yeah, and also remember that that'll help you with the other thing we'll talk about in a little bit about your vocal tone. How we're saying like you need more passion. If you write your lyrics more like conversational and emotional, like direct, like I'm sick of motherfuckers always fucking with me, like that'll force you to deliver it a little bit more intense rather than like I'm tired and I go home and I'm working all day. Like those lyrics will be much harder to deliver with passion. You know what I'm saying?